were talking about encourage the researchers to look, for example, Mendeley.
Yeah.
Would you encourage our audience, the researchers, to be selective on focus on some metrics?
I would encourage academics to look at metrics and make their own mind. I think that turning around saying all these citations is a load of rubbish, doesn't tell you anything, it's not useful at all. So I would encourage everybody to look at especially citations. And in a sense, look at, if it's applicable to the discipline, at journal impact factors, but not as a selection process, but to try and understand, well, why would you want to put a paper in a highly ranked journal? And the only ranking there is the impact factor. Well, on average, and this has always been on average, is that high quality journals have a very strong peer review system. So in fact, what you do, you get feedback for free. You submit your paper, whether it's published or not, in general you would get feedback. And either it's feedback saying, I'm sorry, this is not going to go anywhere because you haven't done enough work, or there's that hole, or don't you know that it's already been done there? Or even if it's published, they always tell you how to improve it. And so that could be something that then you use, if you're shifting slightly your research in a different area, how do you start looking at the right journals? So the metrics are helpful as a starting point, but not as a selection of any type. You always have to use your judgment. So definitely citations, but definitely as well things like alt metrics, these alternative metrics that you see, especially because some of them are around policy. So they start looking at all the policy documents, so you might find out that some of your research has been picked up in policy documents. So in a way, use them as triggers to investigate further. Don't be slavishly following, that journal has a higher impact factor of 2 points, therefore it's better than the other one, because that is not very good.
I like this is very interesting, because obviously we tend to believe that the impact factor is the most important thing we should look at. But actually your points are, the points you've been making are actually even more interesting, because you have been highlighting different things. One is peer review is a feedback. Second thing is people that cite us can be possible collaborator or advance our research. The most interesting thing even is the social impact, and how we can find it with the social media, because that would help us not only to advance in our research, but also to write our grant better, actually, because we find it very difficult normally to say who is going to use them, so who are the stakeholders. While like that, it looks like we could actually see it almost straight away, what it is. So, I mean, can you kind of summarize what, for early researchers, would be some bullet points of, okay, I think you should look at that, and the other?
Well, as an early career researcher, the first thing you have to focus is the quality. The most important thing is to improve the quality of your work. And it's like, we all put together these tactics for the ref, or what we're going to do for that. Or at the end, we know that if we do high quality work, it doesn't matter what the ref will look like, what it's going to throw at us. If it's high quality, it's high quality. So concentrate on the quality. Concentrate on what you want from your research. What is important about your research? What problem do you want to solve? How can you make a difference? And the difference are, at that point you can split it out. It has to be both on your academic community, because that is fundamentally the job of research, building knowledge, building on other people's work, and so on, and on your beneficiary users. Some people, some research, some disciplines cannot find the beneficiaries that easily because of but if you do and you're involved in this, and then put the metrics on top and just look at the ones that are important for you. But definitely citations, and definitely the social media aspect. And go and find out which ones are the ones that work best for you. So I think but concentrate on improving the quality. That will always have it. And some of the times it is by involving users that you improve the quality of your own research. It's not, I do very good research and my users are down there, or the beneficiaries are down there and they're going to be on the receiving end. There's a lot of, there's a lot of knowledge, there's a lot of consensus that involving the users right at the beginning, when you start designing your research, that is the one that's going to be high quality and that's the one that's going to have high impact. So, and it has to be, you have to specify your environment. What is my environment? Where is my environment? So I'll ignore all over there that other people are going on about because it's not in my environment. But the other thing about collaborations, and this is by using metrics again, there are substantial studies that have used, based on, using all the information about Web of Science, huge amount of data. So data are so big that they are correct, they're significant. And they say, if you collaborate, if they look at the collaborators, if you collaborate within your institution, let's say you get citation X on a paper, when they look at collaborations, co-authorships with institutions within your country but not your institution, they double on average. And if you collaborate internationally, they quadruple. So try and move outside your comfort zone. I know it's difficult. Oh, it's easy for me to tell because I'm not an academic, so I can tell you everything. I know it's difficult, but look at other people's research. Send them an email. Even as if a professor at MIT, he might not respond to you, but he might. Or you might say, I have this, postdoc that's working with me that might, just out of your comfort zone. I think, especially in the UK, because of the REF, because of the funding attached to it, we are all very risk averse. So what we tend to tell our junior colleagues, that if you follow this path, which is the traditional path, like that, then you will be secure and and you're not risking, and you will you will eventually become a professor. But instead, I think it's taking back a bit early career research without throwing everything up in the air, because we all want careers and we're not to be too contrary, but take hold of your own research and be a bit more risky. So if there is a community in South Africa, maybe it's not your research, but of course when you go on Altmetric, these sort of things, you can see everybody else's research in there. And if you see that there are some communities around there focusing on particular things, contact them. With emails these days, it's so easy. If you have a Twitter account, tweet them, send them a message. But I think that is the way to really improve the quality of your research. But as I say, collaborations, who cites your work, which communities are interested in your type of work, and metrics really are only a tool to gain, to have access to these things. So that's what I would say. But collaborations, I know there are some disciplines where they collaborate very little, the single author type of this. But but those would have other things. But just go out. Collaboration very, very important.
Yeah, see, almost what you're describing is almost close to a responsible research approach, directly with indirect contact with the academic collaborators and the focus groups, kind of thing. They go directly into your research.
I have seen, and in our institutions, and I know in other institutions, that people for years have collaborated with 2 or 3 people who are just down the corridor. You run out of ideas.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's comfortable. And probably you know which journals you're going to go to, because that's where you normally publish, and you're going to have your your papers published. You're going to be submitted to the next ref. It's all very comfortable, but you're never going to break through. That it's too comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you very much. Very useful your recommendations there. We went around a bit just before this interview and did a small survey with a number of early career researchers, and one or two mentioned that one of the struggles they have in it's how to put these things into practice.
Mm-hmm.
So they wondered whether there were some support systems that they could fall on in order to sort of polish their act.
I think, in general, there is training. I think that there are some, support systems. In general, if it is about open access, if you want to have, some open access, the library has a very good support system. But I think that maybe for early career researchers especially, it's difficult because if they're mentored, and I think this is the problem always with these things, by maybe an academic that has reached the peak, but in different times, it's difficult to have that these type of conversation, because maybe they have a more traditional view, or that's what they know, that's what helped them, and they're not trying to stop anybody, but that's what they're trying to support because of what they saw that was valuable for them. I think we need to do more as an institution, and I think so there is some support around, but it's been a bit scattered around, and now that maybe with the new structure that we have, with the institutes, but also now that we're going to have some revamped research centres within the colleges, we are going to put together something that's a lot more integrated, where there could be all these support systems. Because, it's difficult to know where to go, but people can always email me. I'm very happy to go around and talk about it. But I know it all sounds really good and and exciting. I said, oh, what a good idea. When you go to a workshop, and then after 2 or 3 weeks, you're back to your
normal routine.
Yeah, but keep pursuing them. It is difficult, but there are some, if you go on some of these Mendeley, these, if you find yourself a group, then they can help you as well. So I would always suggest, while you have your mentor or your line manager, head of department, or if you're on a grant, your PI, whatever that of course supports you, always have your an external community, your external networks, which are not just going to a conference and talking to a few people, because but just start forming your own external network, because there you will find people very similar to you that can support you, can give you ideas. I gave you a few examples. I'm sure there's a lot more stuff out there. That, I would always suggest look outwards always. So that's important.
Yeah, thank you very much. There you go. Reach out and ask if you hit a block. Otherwise, you don't get. Thank you very much, Rosa.
Well, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.